On episode 4 of Women Connected, Farnoosh Brock of Prolific Living has amazing tips for how to manage your life better with technology and how to project confidence, courage, and expertise.
This is the Women Connected podcast, where we believe that women can improve their personal and professional lives through technology. If you're ready to cut through the noise and learn exactly the tools you need to create your professional brand, be recognized, and keep up in today's fast-paced world, then stay tuned.
Welcome to the Women Connected podcast. I'm your host, Lisa Goodgame, Program Director at TBW, where we believe that women can improve their personal and professional lives through technology. Today I'm talking with Farnoosh Brock, the founder and creator of Prolific Living, her own media and publishing company, which has grown into a great success in just 2 years. Originally from Iran, Farnoosh and her family moved to Turkey when she was 11, and then to the United States 3 years later. She studied electrical engineering and French at university and then entered the corporate world. After working for a startup, she then moved to a large Fortune 100 technology company. In 2011, she left a nearly 12-year successful career to start Prolific Living. Today, she is a published author, speaker, business coach, podcaster, social media enthusiast, and green juicer. She's passionate about showing you how to define your own freedom in first your health and then your career. Farnoosh, thanks for joining me today.
Thank you for having me, Lisa, and for the warm introduction. I'm excited to be here.
We're thrilled to have you, and I understand you're talking to us from Hong Kong today.
That's right. It's a beautiful day, and it's 12 hours ahead of the America, so I am juggling time zone differences and, enjoying Asia at the same time.
Well, we appreciate you taking time out of your travels to join us on Women Connected today. And I would love to start with the topic of travel because I have read on your website that you travel about 100,000 miles a year. And I know our listeners would love to hear how you manage your business when you're on the road so much.
Yes, I love to travel. In fact, one of the main reasons that I hired my husband to our company back in December. So 9 months ago, he joined us, and we both basically just left our connections, our corporate lives behind to work for ourselves. And one of the main drivers for that, Lisa, was that I wanted to create what I call a freedom lifestyle. So for me, it's really important to travel the world and to take my work with me. I don't enjoy just sitting on the beach and just doing nothing. I want to work, but I wanted the flexibility. So we travel a lot, and aside from one of our trips, we went to our African safari this year. We had been planning that for years, and that was with my brother and my sister-in-law. So I had no connection to the outside world via internet, so I didn't do any work on that one. But everywhere else that we go, this is the topic we talk about, technology. It enables us to take our work with us. Of course, there is that discipline factor that comes in for you to actually get some work done. But the ability to do that, you and I are talking right now. I just have my computer. We have Skype. I have a good Wi-Fi connection, and I am across the world from you, and I don't feel it because technology enables me to stay in touch and get my work done. But we love to travel, and we generally travel outside the country. So the miles add up that way. But we just love it. And we travel some in the States as well. So what would you like me to dive into? I'm going to be happy to tell you how we do it or what aspect of it might be of interest to your listeners.
So I think it would be great to hear if there are particular apps that you use, technology solutions that make it possible for you to do what you do. In your work as a coach and as a consultant, I imagine you must have clients who are all over the world.
Yes, exactly. And I was actually taking notes on some of these apps that I cannot do without. So in my work, I run several blogs, mainly Prolific Living, and I also work with clients. I also have programs and products that I create. So I'm very much connected. Everything is digital, so I'm very much connected to the internet. And of course, I work with my husband. So I would say the top apps that I really need to run my business is I use Gmail for all my email. I trust Google implicitly, so I don't use any other app. I use Asana, which is a free collaboration and teamwork app. It's browser driven. It's wonderful. I know some small businesses that use it as well, and it's completely free. I was using Basecamp for a little while, didn't care for it. So Asana, highly recommend it. Of course, Evernote and Dropbox, because as much as, I love my computer, I like for my data to live on the cloud, which is just a fancy way of saying you have access to it online. It's on other servers other than your hard drive, so that in case you lose your laptop or something happens to it, your data is safe, which is really the most valuable thing, your data. I also use GoToMeeting, which is a paid service for setting up either meetings with my clients or GoToWebinar when I am running webinars for my listeners, readers, for my programs. And I'm very pleased with their service. It's not cheap, but I think it really is a professional way to communicate. There are free conferencing programs out there. I have tried them. I think GoToMeeting has better quality, better customer service, so I highly recommend them. I use WordPress as a publishing platform. It's free. It's, I think, the best publishing platform for running a blog. And then I use Mind Manager. I want to mention this one. This is happens to be a paid version, but there are free versions. This is for mind mapping. So because I work with clients, I also create products and programs. Mind mapping is the first thing I do to actually visually create that idea or work through ideas and brainstorm with my clients. Are you familiar with mind mapping?
I'm not, and I think it would be great for our listeners to hear more about it too.
Okay, great. So that actually, let me see if I can explain it. Basically, mind mapping is where you start with a central idea. So imagine you're on a board. You can do this with drawing on a piece of paper or on a board. You put a central idea. Let's say, for instance, you are trying to solve a problem on how to, how to market your product. So that's the idea in the central location, how to market your product. And it's the center, it's the root of the tree, if you will. And from there, you start to draw branches and you brainstorm. And you write, for example, I'm going to create a social media aspect to my business. I'm going to start a blog. I'm going to use word of mouth. And these are all branches that you draw. And then you draw sub-branches. How you're going to do each of those. What are some things you're thinking about using? The reason mind mapping is powerful is because our brain thinks that way. We don't think linearly. So as ideas come to you, it's the best way to basically put a picture of what's going on in your head on paper. And I'll send you some references if you want to add it to your show notes that can introduce your listeners to mind mapping. So if you're interested, we can talk more about that. But mind mapping is very powerful if you're in a creative mode and brainstorming mode, if you will.
Absolutely. It reminds me of the kind of work that I do when I'm starting to write something, where I do a lot of free association, just simply writing down ideas and trying to figure out which ones connect.
Exactly, right. For a writing project, it's great. You put the central idea in the middle, and then you think about all the things you want to put in your book or in your program, and then you just, you know how your mind just thinks in such chaos.
Right.
Right? And mind mapping is a brilliant way to capture it, because your mind just lends itself to that, as opposed to, doing a list, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 list. It's not as intuitive for our mind as it is for mind mapping. So once you get going, you can just write down all your ideas. Then you go back and you can organize them, and you can put things that are relevant together, all the branches and the sub-branches, and put relationships between them, add priority, time frame, deadline, what have you.
And it seems like something that can be so useful in so many different ways, not just necessarily something that we're doing for work, but how we want to plan almost anything in our lives.
Absolutely. You can use it for planning your next party or anything like that. Exactly. It's not just for professional, but I do like mind mapping, and it seems to really help people see their problems and their challenges in a visual way before we jump into solutions. So that's one of the other apps that I use. And, I really just use a lot of social media to connect with the world, with people who might be interested in what I have to offer, and also me following other people that I'm learning from, that I'm, finding inspirational. So for that, there's the standard social media apps that I use. If you're interested, we can go into that or move on. I leave it to you.
What are some of the social media platforms that you use most frequently? I follow you on Twitter and on Facebook, but are there other platforms that you're finding are really beneficial?
Twitter and Facebook are the main ones, Lisa. I do like LinkedIn for, I have a lot of career programs, and I feel that the people that I can really connect with are on LinkedIn groups, especially where people have really lively discussions around special topics, a lot different than Facebook. They're more in-depth, not as much, I don't know, it's just a different feel to the LinkedIn community. So I do use LinkedIn. I am on Google Plus, and I'm still trying to assess what I want to get out of Google Plus. So I go in there randomly, not consistently. I do use Pinterest pretty regularly. And I do have a strategy behind this, whole social media, which can help, it has helped me be less overwhelmed and less random about it. And I started using Buffer. So speaking of apps, this is one of the apps that I use along with social media. And Buffer, if you're not familiar with it, they have a free and a paid version, and it helps you schedule your social media messages. So instead of just going in there, Tuesday afternoon, you have 5 minutes and you just bombard all of your platforms with what you have to say, and then you don't have to get back to it for another day, right? I mean, we're very busy. It helps you schedule things out so that people who follow you can receive it in bite size, and you can also reach out to more people because you're scheduling it on a regular time frame, so you reach people who are in different time zones. And then when you're back online live, you can respond to the personal messages that come in. But Buffer has really helped me streamline my social media. And I also use my Facebook messages on Pinterest, so I sometimes repurpose my content. For instance, I create inspirational posters for my Facebook page. And because I put the work to create this original poster, I then turn around and use it on a Pinterest board, on my relevant Pinterest board to that topic. And I also use it on my blog. And then I also schedule a tweet to go out from Facebook to Twitter that I put that on there so people can look at it. So and this took a while to get this organized, but it seems to be working a lot better. And I feel less stressed about it. So hopefully that's useful.
That sounds like a great resource. I know that a lot of our listeners are familiar with apps like Hootsuite, which also allows you to schedule ahead of time, but it doesn't work with quite as many social media platforms as it sounds like Buffer does.
I used to use Hootsuite, and I know a friend of mine who even used the paid version. I am not crazy about Hootsuite's user interface. For me, the user interface, which is basically where you are interacting on the browser or on the app with the technical piece, and I just liked the Buffer one. It's just so much more intuitive and it's visually more appealing. So I used to use Hootsuite, but it was bulky and clunky, and I just didn't care for it. I think it's a great tool. It's one of the highest rated apps. I think Buffer is a lot better. I'm really happy with them, and it integrates with all the social media, and it's a very interesting concept. You basically feed information into it for it to schedule. So Buffer is just essentially a scheduler. But you go to Twitter, and instead of sending a tweet now, you can buffer it. So it goes on the end of your buffer. Maybe it'll go out 10 hours later, but it'll go out in the right order. You can go to Facebook and buffer an update, and it'll go out after the tweet, so it all gets in a nice schedule. I don't know. It just seems so organized to me. I think Buffer is really my favorite app right now as one of the schedulers and helping me manage my social media life, if you will.
Well, that's great. We'll have to take a look at that one. Sounds like a good one to have in the toolkit.
Totally.
So I want to change gears a little bit and talk about the work that you do as a coach and as a consultant. In your work, you frequently remind us that whatever sort of job we have, there are skills and abilities we can take from that if we decide to start our own business. And I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about how women especially can find the bravery and the confidence to take that step.
Right. What you're referring to right now, Lisa, is I came up with that because I feel that when I recommend people who are miserable in their jobs to move on, especially people who have been in long careers, one of the points of resistance, there are several. We can address all of them if you like. I'm so passionate about this, so we can definitely talk about this. But one of the points of resistance is that they believe they are giving up years and years of experience and work and starting over. And that's not exactly true. And that's where I emphasize that all the information, the skills, the talents, the expertise that you have accumulated over the years of hard work, you take that with you. And it may change form. You may apply it in your work right now in a special way, and then you can apply it in a different way in the next phase of your career, whether it's a different job or your own business. But you take the information with you. You don't start over. That goes with you. And it just helps them understand that it's not wasting what they have learned, because it takes time to learn stuff, and we put our hard work into it. So I really believe that's really true. You take it with you, and you start with all of that information in a new place, in a different place. As far as women and confidence, this is such a big topic. I can tell you personally, I can admit this now. I used to be a very, very ambitious, career-driven woman. And I used to think, okay, I have the ambition. I'm definitely going to make it. And I had the ambition, but I didn't have the confidence. So I wanted to become vice president at my company. That was my dream, my ultimate dream. And that's ambition. And it's wonderful. It's great to really shoot high. But I didn't truly believe I was worthy of it, that I was gifted enough or special enough to actually be that person. But I had this loud ambition that didn't let me see clearly. And the confidence piece is where you really trust yourself. You believe that whoever you are, whatever your background, whatever your past, whatever your education, or even if you didn't go to college, that you have confidence that you can do this, right? And it's a very, very hard one for us women. I don't know why. I mean, I've worked so hard on that. Do you relate to that one?
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's this idea, I think, that sometimes we have about ourselves, that we're faking it. No matter how well we do in our jobs or how well we do with our families, that if someone scratches the surface a little too deeply, that they'll find we have no idea what we're doing. And that lack of confidence can really be so crushing as we try to move forward with new pursuits.
Right. And I think one quick tip I have on that is because of the assumptions we make about other people, about ourselves too, but about other people. Because I worked for many years, and I went to school, in engineering school, in a male-dominated world. So I was always, one of 4 women in a group of 200 men. And it was just the norm. So I was very used to it. But for some reason, it never stopped being intimidating. And I love working with men. I love my male clients. It's not that. It's just something about how men approach work and career advancement and everything versus us. And I think we make the assumption that they know more, but that's not true. The assumption that we make about their knowledge, their genius, is not necessarily true. They are just more confident. They figure, I don't know, well, I'm going to learn it. And we need to just adopt that. We need to learn from that because it's not this knowledge gap so much as it's the confidence gap.
That's such a great point. One of the things we always think about, especially when we're talking technology, is the gender gap. And there seems to be a lot of research out there that it's not so much that women don't use technology as much as men, but we're using technology differently, or we're using different technology from men. And so we tend to think of guys as being the IT gurus, whereas we're over here, quote unquote, playing with Pinterest. Whereas Pinterest can become a tremendous business driver, as you are saying and as you are seeing with your own work.
Right. So we actually downgrade our own knowledge and expertise, and we up the, males or whoever might be in your eyes the expert. So that's something else that holds us back. We don't give ourselves enough credit for the knowledge that we have, for the experience, for the information. Because if you package it by saying, oh, I'm just playing around. Oh, I don't really know much. I've just been using it 10 years, And if you speak about your own experience that way, nobody is going to believe you know more. So the first person that needs to be confident that, yes, you know what you're talking about, you know how to use this program, you know so much that you can teach it to anybody else. If you don't believe that about yourself, nobody's going to believe that. So then we blame other people, like our bosses, for not recognizing us. It's really hard to recognize people when they're not confident in their own abilities. Believe me, I did all of these wrong. So this is how I can, step back and look at myself and how I was making these mistakes in my career and seeing that was what was holding me back. So we do all the hard work, but then we don't display it in a way that's worthy of the work that we have done. And so nobody can see the true worth. So we are just, sabotaging our own efforts. Does that make sense?
It really does. So in thinking along those lines, what's a key piece of advice you might have for women who are nervous about taking that next step or about trying something new?
So I have a few. One of them is, a little perspective, right? This is technology we're talking about. If you mess up, it's not life-threatening. Nobody's going to get hurt. It's just technology. And actually, speaking of hurt, I've brought down huge systems like working on Goldman Sachs network, not knowing what I was doing. That was as bad as it gets. I just take the network offline and thousands of people don't have access. I worked in customer support. But it's not life-threatening, even at that scale. So a little perspective, first of all. So, you just get some guts and, approach technology like what it is, which is a tool. It is a tool. So technology is not a monster. Technology is not out to get you. Technology is just a tool. And you're the smart human being that's going to learn how to use it. So that's just the first one, perspective. The second one, I want to mention what I already mentioned, which is you basically exaggerate what your male counterparts know and what you know. So I think a little bit of a reality check. Look at how much you really know. Just take Gmail, for instance. You don't even know all the stuff you know because it comes up as you need it. So give yourself more credit and just know that the information that you have is valuable. You don't think so because it's second nature to you. But if somebody were brand new, you are the expert in their eyes. Expertise is relative anyway, but you are the expert. So giving yourself more credit and being realistic about all the knowledge that you have, and that's going to boost your confidence as you begin to really see it for what it is. And I think the other one is just that, technology is not out there for other people to claim. If there is 10 experts in your company, for instance, for a particular application, it doesn't mean it's over, that they can't have another expert. You could become a better expert than all of them. It's just a matter of investing the time, learning the system, learning what could go wrong, all the ways you can use it, shortcuts, what have you. It's not, we just tell ourselves these stories. Well, those guys are the expert about this app. I can't be an expert. Or they are the experts, so I always go to them for answers. You can look it up. So don't assign these titles to people who may seem like an expert or act like an expert. Allow yourself to become the expert. And one other thing I'm going to add, I know you asked for one, but just one more.
No problem.
Okay, one thing that we do is that sometimes we ask stupid questions, and there is such a thing. So if you are really confused about something, and it's something you're supposed to know as part of your work, before you ask, because I was too quick to always ask, instead of just taking the time to look it up. So take 5 more minutes if you're stuck with something, instead of becoming all emotional and helpless about it, which we do, including myself. Just say, look, it's just a little problem. I'm sure somebody else has had it besides me. Let me Google it. I mean, I didn't even have Google, when I was going through college. So we are really blessed to have all of this technology. Just Google it, type the question, do a little research so that when you go ask your question, you can say, by the way, I've done some due diligence. I looked it up. Other people have this problem, not quite what I'm experiencing. Have you had this problem? So that shows so much credibility on your part. And, I don't really believe men discriminate. I think we discriminate against ourselves, and then we put them in this position where they can't really treat us as an equal expert. So once you begin to change that perspective for yourself, you're going to be surprised how well you're going to be accepted and looked up to as the potential next expert. All right, I'm done, Lisa. All yours now.
Oh, I think that those are such great recommendations. And a lot of it, again, is just rooted in that idea of confidence and, taking a little time to realize that we've got it inside ourselves and we need to find a way to maybe project it just a little bit more.
Absolutely.
So we've just got a few minutes left here. Is there anything else that you would like to share with our audience? Anything to help them navigate this fast-paced world?
Our topic is technology, and, I happen to have spent a lot of time in my career in this field and with a lot of men, male-dominated world. And I feel that, again, it's really, if this is what you're interested in, if this is what you're passionate about, and I think technology is a miracle. If it weren't for technology, I wouldn't be running my business. I would still be an employee. I would never be able to travel and work. So technology is a blessing. But I think it's really important to just understand that if this is what you want, technology is not for anybody in particular. You can claim it. You can become an expert. You can change your life and your productivity and everything you accomplish with using the right tools. And this is such an amazing time we live in right now, where we have the tools to do so many things. So just watch how you approach it. So look at, how you use Facebook. If you're just spending your time playing around and not really using the tool for ways that could help you in your business, in your life, with your challenges, then push yourself, right? These tools out there are there for having a good time, wasting time even on the internet, or they can be there to change your approach, your life, your opportunities, things you do for a living. You can change your entire career, and you could really let technology completely transform your life if you wanted to. So this is shooting high, but I really believe we are very lucky to be living at this time. And women and technology just make such an amazing combination that it would be hard not to take advantage of it. So I want to just inspire you to make best friends with technology. It can really give back in amazing ways.
Farnoosh, it has been so wonderful to speak with you today. You've offered
Thank you. Yeah.
You've offered our listeners such good advice, and I really appreciate you joining us. It's been another great episode of Women Connected with you.
Thank you. It was my pleasure to talk to you today, Lisa.
The Women Connected podcast was brought to you by TBW and the TBPW Foundation, underwriter of many of our training and leadership development programs. For more information about TBW membership and our upcoming programs, please visit our website at tbwconnect.com. We hope you'll join us next time on Women Connected.